Let's bring in our next guest from Transitions Children's Services, Joe and Michelle.
Yes.
Okay, hey Joe, how's it going, bud?
How are you?
Michelle, how are you? Nice
Good.
Tell me what Transitions Children's Services does.
That's a mouthful.
It's tough.
We are a foster family agency, so we service at-risk youth in our home, and we find loving, nurturing foster parents that are going to provide a great, stable environment for our kids. And we have social workers like Lujan, Joe, who goes out and provides great services, make sure everybody is supported, kids' needs are being met. So it's a really good program.
How long have you been doing this?
As a social worker, probably about 5 years.
Okay.
With transitions going on 2 years.
Okay, and so did you start? How do you start out? Do you start out working for the county and then go or another organization? What happened?
You know what? I've kind of bounced around. I was with.
I don't think that's unusual in your type of business.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Right.
I was actually a school counselor for a while, an outreach consultant with Parlor Unified for about 8 years, 9 years, and then I jumped over to Lindsay Unified, and then I came back to Fresno, and then I started doing social work with an FFA. My degree is actually in counseling, and so I was lucky enough to fall into a social work position. I have a master's degree in counseling, not in social work, but I was lucky enough to find transitions, and I'm here.
You call it transitions because these kids are going from a really bad situation and transitioning hopefully into a really good one,
Yes,
Right.
definitely.
Right.
And there's just a lot of transitions in general in the lives of all of us, and particularly for these children in
Do you work with the children only, or do you work with foster parents back and forth? I really don't know how it works.
Okay. So we work with individuals that are interested in wanting to nurture and help kids. And so my job is to screen and to train and to select and to make sure that they're a good fit for us and we're a good fit for them.
Tell me what you're screening for, what you're looking for in a foster family.
Well, of course, we check background checks and things like this and make sure Department of Justice, FBI, and Child Abuse Index clearances are all cleared. And we also are looking for really compassionate people that are willing to go above and beyond for children that are in crisis because they're all being removed from Child Protective Services because of some serious issues. So not only are we looking for compassionate people, but very competent people and very flexible and patient people.
Because these people, they don't have to have child care credits in college and that kind of stuff. You're just looking for just good people, right?
Yes.
Right. And as a social worker, it's our job also to kind of take care of the kids and also, help out our foster parents. So we're I guess, for lack of a better word, a liaison between, let's say, school, home, bio parents. And so we kind of work with a little bit of everybody.
Because certain children, I would assume that you try to place them with certain types of people, right? Like the certain problems that they're having, you don't want to put them with the wrong kind of person.
Yes.
Right. Well, you know what? Our kids come with a lot of different issues, and sometimes...
So the adults.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Some of the social workers have a lot of issues too. That's a whole different show. Right? They come with a lot of different issues, so it's our responsibility as social workers to kind of nurture our foster parents and kind of help our kids also with the issues and introduce them to the parents, introduce them to the different services that they're going to be involved with, like, RAP services, which is another program through the county that is basically like a life coach that comes out and helps the individual if they're having a lot of issues at school or at home. So it's just a whole bunch of stuff.
I think that's a really good way of putting it, like a life coach, because the social workers are really like a life coach with the families and the children. And not only are, as far as selecting and matching, in our pre-service training that we provide, we really work very hard with the families to find their strengths, to figure out what children and situations they can work best with, because we want a successful placement. And that's how we're able to make sure that it's a good environment for all.
Right. And a successful placement can mean many different things, right? Tell me different successes.
Well, as you mentioned, the individuals do come with a lot of issues, and sometimes those issues are hard to deal with. And, parents and individuals are used to a certain thing, so let's say you and I, and we're both parents, and so we look at our kids as we're going to raise them a certain way because they're our kids.
Right.
And so we have different beliefs and different cultural things that we deal with our kids. But when you get a complete stranger that comes into your home, a child, and then you've got to kind of not necessarily teach your beliefs, but incorporate all they're coming with what you're coming with, and kind of meet in the middle, and hopefully it works out. And if it works out, that's successful, you know. You create this long-lasting relationship.
The problems that these kids are coming out of, oftentimes it'd be hard for a child just to jump right in and be to a family and just fit right in.
Right.
You know, the kid's going to be nurtured a little bit, and
Absolutely.
you won't treat them like the other kids. But over time, you hope that they come in, they become a part of the family.
Right.
But on the long run, isn't the ultimate you want to get them back with their parents?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
the goal, is reunification.
So do you guys work with the parents that are having the problems also?
We work with the county that works with the parents, so it's a whole big collaborative team. Yeah, so it's a lot of pieces to this puzzle.
Right. There's different stages that the case will go through, and so when the individual is brought into the system, they look at why the child was brought into the system, and then how are we going to correct that? You know, if it was some issues that parents were having, making some poor decisions and some poor choices in life, well, you know what? We take that child out, or the county takes that child out, and they place them in a quote-unquote better, environment, and then the county goes back and offers services to the parents, like, okay, let's help you with these issues that created this big problem that, brought your child into our system. And so they try to correct that. And if it's corrected, the primary goal is to get that child back with bio parents.
This is an emotional job. I would have to. Not everybody can do this kind of job.
It'll drive you to drink. No, I didn't say that.
Now, I wanted to ask you, coming out of the other professions and coming into this one, was it difficult for you?
You know what? There was a lot of similarities. The counseling aspect, you're working with kids. You're dealing with the same kind of issues. I was an outreach consultant, and so I worked with at-risk youth. I'm really doing the same thing. I'm just not I wasn't in the home. Now I'm in the home. I'm everywhere, really. On a weekly basis, I'll see an individual at school. I'll transport them to their therapy session. I will be their therapy session. We just spend some time, and sometimes we'll just, like today, it's one of my kids on my caseload's birthday, and so we're just going to go to the Nickel Arcade and just hang out, and just have fun. And so it's kind of just being that everything for that kid. Not everything, but just that.
A lot of hands-on.
Yeah, a lot of hands-on, a lot of different personalities you have to take on.
Do you ever hear from the foster parents, like, gosh, I would have done this a long time ago if I would have known? It's got to be somewhat easy. I know there's some hard things, but man, it's so rewarding, and so it's not really that hard bringing in another child.
I get that a lot because I work with the parents a lot, and they're like, I've thought about this for a really long time, and once they get started, they're like, I wish I would have done this a lot sooner, and the rewards are really great, and the challenges are small. We get through them just like we do with our normal families.
I bet it's hard for them to give them up sometimes, though, huh?
It can be, yeah.
Right.
But we hope that they stay in their lives, forever, because there's still a connection that you can still make.
I think the goal of the county is to, like we've talked about, is basically reunification, but they do want to create that long-term relationship. I've got some of our foster parents that actually still babysit, some of the kids that were, which is great. I mean, you want to create that. And it's just, for not sounding cheesy, exactly, for not sounding, I was going to use that, the whole village thing, and it's a good thing to see. It's a good thing to see.
What's the compensation for a foster parent?
It varies.
It's called a reimbursement.
Right.
And so it depends on the age of the child and things like this,
And their different needs?
Yes.
Right. And so, in talking about that was one of the reasons why we wanted to come on also, is to kind of, we do some fundraising for some of our kids, for some of the needs that we see that isn't incorporated in that reimbursement, like when our kids go or age out of the system, when they turn 18, a lot of times there aren't those resources that can provide, let's just say, for example, when I turned 18, I wanted to move out, have my own apartment.
Sure.
Where are you going to get that deposit? Where are you going to get the furniture? And so we're trying to put together a golf tournament, our inaugural tournament at Belmont Country Club, October 19th.
Nice.
It's at 1 o'clock. It's on a Monday. If y'all can get out there. It's $100 a player. We're also looking for sponsors throughout the community. So as myself and a couple of my other co-workers, we're getting out there kind of pounding the pavement, trying to get some sponsorship for our kids. And so we want to establish this scholarship fund, in a sense, to have that funding for our kids, our older kids, that we can create some, stability as they move out.
If people need to get a hold of you, the Transitions Children's Services, how do they do it?
They can call us.
Okay, number?
Number is 222-5437. Or they can find us on the website, which transitionschildrenservices.org. Or we also have a Facebook page, and they can find us on our Facebook, Transitions Children's Services.
Right.
Awesome.
Right.
Joe and Michelle, thank you very much
Thank
for what you're
you.
doing for the
Thank
children
you.
of Fresno. Okay, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Stick around.